Hey guys, LevelCap here, and this week in gaming, Hell Let Loose is finally getting fixed, Sony dropped the mic on Microsoft big time, modders made a giant discovery for the Xbox Series X, and much more. The next patch for Hell Let Loose promises some significant improvements. The devs just released a new blog post outlining patch 16 and why it's taken so long. Stalingrad was added to Hell Let Loose at the end of July, and it has some serious performance issues. That was also the game's last major update. Typically, Hell Let Loose gets pretty quick patches that squash bugs or performance problems about a week or so after big updates. This time around, it's taken a lot longer. The devs say in the blog post that they took extra time to ensure the best performance possible. While working on the patch, they identified several quality of life issues that will be addressed. Now that the work on this patch is coming to an end, the devs are starting work on the game's next major update. The post also teases the addition of a Panzer IV tank. Patch 16 launches on the 14th for PC players. On the PlayStation 5, the closed beta has been extended so the devs can iron out some specific issues with the console build of the game. Sony dropped the mic on Microsoft, revealing several major titles during a live stream showcase. They unveiled trailers for a Knights of the Old Republic remake, God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, a Wolverine game by the same developers Insomniac, and in between those reveals, Sony showed gameplay from other titles like Ghostwire Tokyo, Project Eve, Forspoken, and the Grand Theft Auto 5 Next Gen upgrade. Until now, most of Sony's PlayStation 5 exclusives have been remakes of PlayStation 4 games, next-gen upgrades of PlayStation 4 titles, or smaller indie games with impressive production value. Rolling out a laundry list of AAA exclusives is a huge power move toward Microsoft. Team Green's hottest upcoming title is Halo Infinite, which left an awful first impression with its gameplay reveal trailer last year. Sony is also banking on PC ports of their tentpole franchises. They officially announced that the Uncharted series is getting a new collection edition for PlayStation 5 and PC. Microsoft doubled down on cross-platform exclusive titles towards the end of the Xbox One's lifecycle. Sony is still playing catch-up on that front, but Uncharted is a huge step in the right direction. The first Call of Duty Vanguard beta weekend is here. Pre-order customers can download and play the beta on PlayStation consoles until Monday. Early reviews of the beta have been very mixed. Issues with audio stand out as a top concern, but many players are frustrated that the game feels like a World War II DLC for 2019's Modern Warfare. Sledgehammer has brought a few new mechanics such as siege-style destruction, sliding while mounted, blind fire, and custom combat pacing. This feature lets you select the player count of your matches from 3 presets: 6v6, 28v28, and 48v48. Each option changes the playable area of the map to accommodate the increased or decreased player count. As for Vanguard's Warzone integration, Sledgehammer have released some teaser footage of the new map. It's a Pacific-themed location that looks much more rural than Verdansk, and while the new map looks more vibrant, and of course a proper new location is a welcome reprieve from Verdansk, it's concerning how different the level design looks. Warzone currently offers a ton of verticality, cover, and points of interest between major locations. All of those elements combine to make the game very dynamic, opening things up, flattening the map out, and forcing players to rely on trees for cover when crossing open spaces is a massive departure from what Warzone players are used to. The good news is that Vanguard is launching with improved anti-cheat measures added to Warzone when the two games are integrated. For Activision's sake, we hope it's actually effective. They've been using an improved anti-cheat as a big marketing ploy for this update, and it would be really tragic for the player base if it doesn't slow the hackers down. The next update for Apex Legends might seem subtle on the surface, but it's making some major balance changes that could totally change which legends are popular. The update changes Rampart's ultimate from a stationary turret to one that you can either walk around with or place it. When walking around with it, the spin-up takes longer, and it only gets a single magazine. Once the ultimate is activated, it can be put back in, pulled out again until it runs out of ammo or the cooldown timer expires. This change is a pretty big deal because Rampart Rampart's ultimate is one of the most deadly weapons in the game. It could easily wipe an entire squad if placed properly. Being able to walk around with it opens up Rampart's utility quite a bit. The patch is also making some major tweaks to other legends and weapons. Octane's jump pad horizontal distance is being reduced by roughly 15%, and his passive health regen is being reduced from 1.5 to 1 HP per second. The bowsec is getting buffed with slightly reduced draw time, more ammo per brick, and more per inventory stack. The bowsec shatter caps hop up will also do more damage per draw. The Hemlock's hipfire is getting a minor buff. This patch is also removing a notorious movement exploit called tap strafing. Players are very divided about this decision. Tap strafing lets you change direction mid-air without losing your momentum. The problem is that only PC players can do it, and since it's technically an exploit, it's also impossible to predict when an enemy player does it. The last notable change coming with the update is shield health, which will be visible in death boxes. No more accidentally picking up an enemy shield. It's pretty apparent that this patch will change up the game's meta, but how much it's going to change it really depends on how this new Rampart thing plays out. It looks like third-party storage solutions for the Xbox Series consoles might be pretty straightforward after all. Microsoft chose a specific solution for storage expansion called CF Express. It's a connector typically seen in use with high-end video cameras, but the actual storage that they use with the connector is a standard PCIe Gen 4 SSD. Modders have figured out how to make adapters that translate the CF Express port to a standard NVMe SSD one. According to the modders, the adapter is plug and play with Xbox consoles. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the console can be tricked into using PCIe Gen 3 CF Express cards despite them slotting into the console without an adapter. As for what any of this technical mumbo jumbo actually means for Xbox owners, it's a mixed bag. Third-party SSD adapters could potentially flood the market, forcing Microsoft to reduce pricing on their proprietary expansion cards. Microsoft could also release a firmware update that blocks these adapters from working. Either way, it's further proving that Sony's solution of allowing off-the-shelf SSDs to work in the PlayStation 5 was the right move. It gives users a more comprehensive range of options without making them jump through hoops to get reasonable pricing on storage. Fortnite is probably never getting back on the iOS App Store. In the Epic vs. Apple lawsuit, the judge ruled that Apple must allow developers to link external payment systems in their apps, but otherwise sided with Apple on all other issues. The result is Epic has to pay Apple 30% of revenue generated from the in-game transaction system Epic added to Fortnite that got it banned. The court is not compelling Apple to reinstate Fortnite. That said, Apple is willing to unban the game if Epic adheres to the iOS App Store's terms of service. That's something Epic seems unwilling to do. The company's CEO, Tim Sweeney, reacted to the ruling on Twitter, saying Fortnite will return to the iOS App Store when and where Epic can offer in-app payments in fair competition with the Apple in-app payment system, passing along the savings to consumers. The case and its outcome are very complex, so it's tough to say what kind of ripple effects it'll have on the gaming industry. It's also likely to be appealed by both parties, which will block it from taking effect. Destiny 2's new BattleEye anti-cheat system is now auto-banning cheaters. The change rolled out with the Trials of Osiris starting this weekend. Before the change, Bungie were manually banning players based on BattleEye data. Steam's new storage manager is here, and it's a massive improvement over the prior system. There's a new menu system for managing all of your installed games and Steam library folders that shows you what games are installed on which drives. The download manager UI has been updated to show which games are scheduled for updates, download progress, and factors in the estimated time for installation of updates. The previous UI only showed the time remaining for actually downloading updates. Installation typically takes additional time. Before we get to our final story this week, I just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday with more gaming news and Battlefield 2042 coverage, so stay tuned and have a great weekend. The handheld retro emulator Analog Pocket has been delayed to December because of the pandemic. The device is effectively a roided out Game Boy with native support for Nintendo's classic handheld cartridges and can also emulate other devices with cartridge adapters. It's hotly anticipated because it uses hardware emulation rather than software, which is much more accurate. It's also one of, if not the only handheld device of its kind that offers hardware emulation and a direct interface with original original cartridges. The Pocket was supposed to launch last year, then Analog pushed it to May, October, and now December. Hopefully it actually starts shipping before next year. And that wraps it up for this week in gaming. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.